Right then, welcome back to the second part of the Walking Dead characters tier list. Today we'll be doing all of the characters in season 2, and hopefully I don't scroll up and down during my session on Paint.net. Um, so everyone between here and here will be ranking, and I've introduced a new thing that will be only shown in my streams, except for this one time, which is the declaration of a crisis season. So I've mentioned what a crisis season before, but this will give you a brief rundown. And I think it's a very good way to show. So basically show that at the end of a good game when I've played it. And that brings me into crisis season, which basically means everything I say should be disregarded at least a little bit because it's in the clouded judgment of I really enjoyed that game, the story was good. Um, sort of mentality. So I'm not going to make comments much. It would work for a game like Walking Dead. So we continue our list. If you're not saw part one, then this is the result of part one on the screen right now. So we ended up with Brie as our Wout. Unfortunately, Brie. No cheese can fix you today. Brie is a type of cheese, right? Today we begin with Michelle. Michelle appears only at the very start of episode 1 of season 2. She is the person who begins robbing you and then kills Omid, gets killed by Krista. Um, she's, I mean, what can I say? She's just sort of really a nothing burger. She doesn't really get the story forward. She just sort of explains why Omid is dead, which he could have got lost with Krista anywhere. I'm sort of just indifferent with her whole character really. She's just sort of there, and it sort of shows Telltale sort of a bit falling off for season 2 compared to season 1, which is my main thing. So I feel like I can be completely indifferent to her to the point where she's less important than Mark or Duck or Herschel. Luke Luke's probably one of my favourite characters in season 2, not only because he keeps a level head throughout, but he's actually just helpful. Like he's helpful completely in the Carver episode, and he's helpful completely in the Carver episode, and he's a good leader for the group before the end, and then the moment he's gone, everyone turns on each other. So for that, he is a certified G. I wouldn't call him unforgettable to that point. Would I call anyone in season 2 unforgettable? Well, we'll get to that. Um, certified G past Krista. Past Krista. So we'll cut ahead once everything's been moved. Right, so there we go. Next we have Pete. I'm sure he has like a full name, like a full legal name, like in the like the only one of the only people who has a full legal name for this series, other than like even Lee Everett didn't have his middle name there, but he has like a full 3 name system going on. I don't know why he's so important like that, but go on. You slay, Pete. Pete is the initial leader of the group before Luke becomes the leader after his unfortunate demise. He if he would have stayed alive, I think the group would have even had an even more level head. I don't think they would have tolerated any of Kenny's crazy ideas with Pete around, which, for better or for worse, would have probably benefited the entire gang. Maybe not me as herself, as a player, but everyone else would have been fine if Pete was still around. That makes him a certified G. It does make him a certified G, which will have to be a longer tier soon, I guess. Um, we don't really see much of him though. That's the problem. We do learn about his past, obviously. Evidently, we know his full name. Um, I'd say less so than Chuck. I would say. So once again, I'll cut ahead. When everyone's moved. There we go. So now we move on to Nick. Now Nick makes a lot of mistakes. Throughout his tenure on the season, the first 4 episodes. And unfortunately, I wouldn't call any of them helpful. He doesn't really redeem himself. There's really... Now, of course, as I say, I'm not putting villains down, but bad heroes, especially, we do learn a lot about him, which would move him up, but only possibly to highly of the very respectable. I'd say between, like, lower than Ormead here, which again means I have to move a lot of things. I think I just can't put him on for Certified G because he's just definitely not to the Pete or Luke level. To be up there, and he's definitely not to Ormead's level, even if he's in for more episodes. Yeah, so I think, where is he now? I think Nick deserves a place up there, more than Sean. We'll be back when everyone's moved. Right, to me, Rebecca is a very interesting character because she's probably one of the better written characters in the entire season 2, even if not the entire franchise. In that she's probably how someone would act during a zombie apocalypse. She doesn't act like she's going to protect everyone. She doesn't act like she can be on her own in all this. She doesn't. She tells the truth, and even at the start of episode 1, when she's a bit, well, throughout episode 1, even throughout episode 1, when she's a little bit, well, she's not very nice to you. Let's put it that way. I would say that she has understandable reasons that she has to do that. She has definitely Certified G writing potential. I wouldn't say very high in Certified G, just simply because while we do learn less about these pasts, I think they do more affect the actual incidents of the story as it tells. We won't connect these two right yet, because of course that would just throw everything off and put her like unforgettable, really. But I don't think she can be up there. She's just she does a lot, but she doesn't do a lot then. You know what I mean? Like, she didn't do a lot for the time that she's alive. Her legacy is posthumous, really. So I'll have to knock her down a little bit for that. I think I'm gonna put her better than Doug. Just Doug. Yeah. Right, now we have Alvin, who is a namesake to someone who probably will be higher on the list than him. Alvin, I think, is just sort of annoying compared to, like, well, let's put it this way. Alvin consistently and unwaningly will always do what Rebecca wants, whether it be best or worse. Rebecca wants something, but she won't try and do it because she got Alvin. Alvin sort of just he's like the on the fence dude in the argument over the obvious fact. You know what I mean? Like, that's the best I can put it. You know, someone will be saying like, oh, 1 plus 1. The other say, oh no, it's not 2, it's 3, and he's there like, let's do a compromise. No, it's 1. It is 2. The answer is 2. Like, there is an actual right answer there. He just seems like that dude who's on the fence. I don't know where I'm rambling on about that. I think he's worse than Ormead. I don't know about Nick. Does he really do much to make him better than Nick? If I could put him on level with Nick, maybe that would work. But I think I'm just gonna put him. I'm gonna put him there. Yeah, I think Alvin has a lot to do to get himself higher on this list. But he doesn't really have the chance to do it. And even if he makes it to episode 3, I don't think it's it's worthwhile. What little he does when he ends up there, he just sort of complains. Instead of trying to find a way out. So there it is. Next we have Carlos. Carlos, he's Carlos, innit? He's way too soft with his daughter. Which is one of the few things I would agree with Carver on. And that ends up doing both of them, to be honest. In terms of the gang, he's a doctor. How good of one, we don't know. But considering he couldn't tell a dog bite from a human one, perhaps not the best. Again, Nis not being a villains and heroes ranking. Him being a bad, like I've got like Carlos is not quite this. I would say that he is the Ben. Well, actually no, she is the Ben. And then he is the Ben, and then he is the Ben. Them are the Bens. But the thing is with the Bens, yeah, is that he's the only person who we know, who we've known to actively raise a Ben. He's sort of a redeemed Ben, and everyone else, and he's a Ben because of the fact that he wasn't raised by anyone. So because of that, because of the creation of Ben, I can't, in good mind, give him anything but a respectable law. Probably less than Larry, because at least Larry like moves the story forward with Lily's whole situation. So yeah, that's as much as I can give him. So now we have Sarah, who is Carlos's daughter, and she is the Ben. That's the thing. She is the Ben. He's not really the Ben because he's a villain. Depends on the way they see it, but she is the Ben. She is someone I'm indifferent to. She, unfortunately, because of Carlos's mistakes, although he makes up for them in some way, she just can't. She will not. And unfortunately, as I say in the series, you can't go on like this. So, given the chance in episode 4, the earlier chance, I do end up just leaving straight away. Because it's a lost cause. She dies later on, but at least it's not a telltale moment where it would be someone strong dying later on, like Carly. It's someone who just would have. It's just someone who would have. It's a telltale moment making sense, and making such writing cliches make sense in a Telltale game as being Sarah. That is something I'm completely indifferent to. But we're completely indifferent to. I think Top, to be honest, Top completely indifferent. I can't take that much credit off of her. So we move on to Carver himself, the main villain of season 2, which is strange because he's appears halfway through this entire situation. I like him as a villain. I wouldn't call him Lily level. I don't think Lily. I think Lily is just the villain here that makes you the most mad. Well, we'll talk about that next time. Carver has a point. Like, I'm not saying he has a massive point, like the point of like a HB pen, still. But he has a point. Lily sort of just doesn't. And because of that does make him deeper of a character. But I don't think he's unforgettable in such a way. I would say as a character, that is certified G, because he's definitely a better villain than Stranger. Now, Molly, comparing to Molly, yes. Here's where the stoppage point is. The whole drama between him and Rebecca, I think, is the point that puts him just slightly below Rebecca in how he affects her story. Because really, it's the same situation, isn't it? So we'll Oh, who am I moving there? Move the wrong person. Herschel, sorry. Yeah, I think that he should go below Rebecca. So we'll move him up. Where is he? Where's Carver? Here he is. There. Right, so we've put him in. Carver, just below Rebecca, like I said. Because I don't think... I feel like Rebecca just has a little bit more to do for the story. Even though if it's not much. Carver plays a good villain, but I don't think he's quite up there with the quality of the characters. Next we have Matthew, who appears for 1 minute. 1 entire minute of the game. But it's more effectful than a lot of these actually. More than a lot of these. So given the whole situation and how it ends up, it's sort of an entire character that is a foreshadowing. An entire character that's a foreshadowing. I can't put him certified G because we just do not know anything. It's going to be very respectable, and I think it's going to be sort of this area. So I think I'm going to put him above Danny, I think, because Carlos makes his mistakes, which bumps him down, but he would still be above him still. What am I doing here? Danny is getting moved as well. Right, there we go. Next we have Walter, who is partner of Matthew, as he mentions. Now, I've made Vernon a little bit opaque here because, or less opaque, should I say, a little bit transparent, because I want to read the very respectable. There'll be some way to fix that. I think I might just, rename it on this side and put it small. C for completely indifferent, B for very respectable, A for out of IQ, S for unforgettable, S plus for S plus goat, and then, D for the shaky to the go, and then E for memorable, and then F for woat. That's how it works. So we got Walter. Walter obviously gets more screen time than Matthew, but I think because, well, as I said, but he's definitely going higher than Matthew, but I think literally just literally replacing him. I think because he's definitely not better than Carlos in how he does to the story. He's just sort of the guy for that episode, and then everyone else moves on really. So I think he does have a decent thing going for him, but he doesn't overall do much. So next we have Sarita, who Kenny very quickly finds Sarita after losing Lee in Savannah and after losing himself nearly, losing Ben possibly, and Sarita is sort of the catcher of the season. I mean, for reasons other than that she was with Kenny, but she also tries to keep the camp a little bit more sane, a little bit more understanding, a little bit more caring. And given the choice you get at the end of episode 3, which sort of seals her fate, there's not really much you can do about it. It'll make Kenny mad either way, and unfortunately, she eventually just becomes a token for that to make Kenny more insane. While a lot of people do that, she definitely had a lot of reasons to keep going. I think she was quite decent to survive if she was saving Kenny. She mentions at some point Kenny mentions. So I'm thinking, where does that put us? Where does that put Sarita? Because Sarita could be literally anywhere certified G respectable, if I'm going to be honest. Now, I've realised here I've got Ben as my 5th best character. I don't actually intend that, but I think it is true. What you learn about him actually makes him interesting, even if he's such a stupid person. I think actually he is more important of a character than sort of the rest of these. You remember Ben in season 4 Yeah, when Ten does his things, you remember his name. We're talking about him now, but I'm trying to justify making Ben the fifth. That I've just really realised. Sarita, I think Sarita, respectably sort of here. I think, yeah, here. So he'll be no here. So it'll be Carl's just below. All right, yeah. A lot of very respectables are getting added. There we are. So next we have Bonnie, and I dislike Bonnie with every bone in my body, just because she acts like she's redeeming herself after getting people killed. What? No, that's not how it works. To quote AJ, anyone who wants to hurt us should be dead. And she is one of the first people I would have used that philosophy on if I was given the chance. Now, you do have the option in an early version of a game to shoot Mike, who was with Bonnie at the end. But I wouldn't call. She just doesn't care. Even when she acts like she cares, she doesn't care. Because we eventually find out what she does, and she affects the story in one way, which is the entire movement of the characters. But I think that would have been done anyway, considering they were going up to the lodge. Because of that, I can admit, certified G, but the bottom, the literal bottom, I think. The worst you can be as a certified G, she shall be, because she is not me. Troy is completely different. I mean, honestly, he's just another carver who's a bit more would be incarcerated at an institution. I'm not indifferent to him in a point. I think yeah, Michelle, Mark, and Duck can move. Next we're on to Reggie, who is Reggie. He's a bit too supportive of Carver because he wants a better space. And he's sort of just always there, sort of in your ear, telling you, don't do this. And then it works. And then what happens? He gets killed before it works. Isn't that mad? Because guess what? He was the person he was one of the only people who got killed by Carver while there. Isn't that mad? That's really strange, that, isn't it? Because of that, it doesn't really affect the story that much. He just sort of he stops you from being able to make progress for half the episode. So where does that put us? To me, that puts us in an indifferent situation again. How indifferent? Less than Duck. Less than Duck. Who am I replacing Mark again? Yeah, genuinely. He's just there to sort of be annoying to you. Act like being like, no, I'm not trying to fit in. I'm not trying to fit in. Like, you know what I mean? That's not my move. From Reggie, we move on to what even is his name? I forgot his name. Mike. He didn't really do much. That's why I forgot his name. He's like I remember like him. He's Conrad, and him. Yeah, he's David. Well, yeah, he's like the main character. Clint. That's Lingard. Doctor Lingard. That's Ava. That's Paul Monroe. Also known as Jesus. Like I know all the names here. Yeah, but I actually don't remember this guy's name because he just sort of he shows up every so often. It says basically nothing. The main thing he did was stop Kenny from being so mean to Avo, which is not something that is really going to work. And then leaves with Bonnie, who is the more important part of that group. So we're really filling up this indifferent, aren't we? I'd say I'd care about him more than Reggie, but that's about it. That's about it. Yeah. Right. Jane. Jane is, of course, incredibly important to the season, really, in that she's the one who is against Kenny at the end. So she has to be certified G just for that reason. She's one of the main characters of the season, eventually. Her reasoning's a bit off, but again, it's not a villains list. She affects the story in a great way, so she has to be like at least middle here. I would say more so than Pete. I would say. So there. Next we have Arvo, who I genuinely think should have been written off and not returned. Though his return makes sense with all of his friends, all of his comrades. Though I do think he should have been written off before they took him as a hostage. It does prove that Kenny was getting a bit insane, but he still cared deep down, which is why I always choose him as any form of season 2 end, or I just leave everyone. I never go with Jane, that's as far as I'm saying. He pushed me away from that life. Arvo just should have been written off. And he does get written off, but a bit too late. I think the way he affects the story in the general sense is that he's the reason that sort of half the group falls out with each other, which is quite a big thing to do. But I would only call him respectable up to oh, that's the wrong one. I would only call him respectable up to here. More so than Walter, and that's about it. There we go. And finally, AJ. AJ is an easy one. He is the what does one call it? A deuteragonist of season 4. He's sort of the aim for Clem in season 3, and he is sort of the aim in the last 2 episodes of season 2 as well. He is the main character, really. Well, Clem's the main character, but he's the main thing. Protecting him is the basis of episode 9, episode 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19. For 10 episodes, that's his basis. For all that he's alive, the basis of the series, at least for Clem, is to keep him safe. He has to be unforgettable. Less so than Kenny, I think, because his appearance is only really whittled down to 1 season, when you finally think about it. So we'll put him right there next to his victim, if we can find her. And that concludes really the season 2 section of this tier list. So tomorrow, as of when this comes out, we'll be doing season 3 and season 4, which should be a little bit longer. We've been recording for 36 entire minutes, so this has been longer than the season 1 one. I did do a little bit deeper of a talk for these one, because I did want to speak more about what the characters did, what happened with them. This one should be a bit longer than the last one, even though there's less characters to rank, because I wasn't sort of rushing through the last few ones. If this wasn't out the day after if the first one wasn't out yesterday, then I doubt the next one will be out tomorrow. It depends on how I'm editing them, but there'll be no more than a 3-day wait for each of the episodes to come out after the next one. Every Wednesday is when the tier list starts, except for this one, where it will have to be split up into multiple parts. After this one, I think I'm going to do a different type of tier list, and then I'll probably do one more after that, and then that'll conclude season 1 of tier list. I'll get back to it a few months down the road when I have a few new fresh ideas. But until then, until tomorrow, I have been Zraxev, and this has been the Walking Dead Characters tier list for season 2. And goodbye.